After watching the 50 Cent produced Diddy documentary, did it change how you viewed Suge's role at all? And people alleging that he was involved with Tupac's death?
Absolutely.
Sometimes you get away with stuff, and you, like when you hear the song on the I put $1 billion on your head. Real kid, like you know, like and don't nobody want to kill nobody, and really don't let nobody know.
I mean, it's all f***ed up. It was a setup. It was a plot to my brother. I feel f***ed up about it.
This is a major development, folks. According to 50 Cent, the FBI wasn't just monitoring Sean Diddy Combs for his recent legal troubles. They were quietly investigating him for something far darker. A trail of evidence that keeps circling back to the murders of Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. In this video, we're breaking down some of the latest revelations coming from people who were extremely close to Diddy, including Kirk Burroughs and Gene Deal, along with members of Tupac's own family, his brother Mopreem, and his cousin Jamala, both of whom were deeply connected to what was happening behind the scenes. Tupac and Biggie were once friends. Both were rising superstars. Both were reshaping hip-hop forever. And yet, they were murdered at the height of their fame, just 6 months apart. Now, individuals who were actually present during that era are finally speaking out. Tupac's cousin, former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry, former LAPD detective Greg Kading, and even a former Crips member have all shared pieces of the same story. Tupac's death was not random. It was orchestrated. According to Kirk Burroughs, a co-founder of Bad Boy Entertainment, Diddy was responsible for putting the wheels in motion that led to Tupac's killing. For decades, no one was officially charged, and the case became hip-hop's greatest mystery. Documentaries were made, books were written, countless theories circulated. But now, it appears the FBI may finally be closing in on answers. The dominoes began to fall in 2023 when Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was indicted in connection to Tupac's murder. Former LAPD detective Greg Kading made a chilling statement in a documentary, saying, "It's really Keefe D. and Puffy Combs who are the last men standing." During recorded interviews with investigators, Keefe D. allegedly made explosive claims. He stated that about a year before Tupac's death, Diddy stood in a room full of Crips and openly expressed that he wanted Tupac and Suge Knight dead. Keefe D. also claimed that Diddy later offered $1 million for it to happen.
He claims that there is this ongoing conversation. It happens on 3 different occasions. But most specifically when he and Puffy are at this place called Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset. And they're there. Things have spiraled out of control. Puffy's really concerned about, the welfare of his safety. And he tells Keefe D, man, I just need you to take care of this situation with Suge and Tupac. It's out of control. Tupac's on vinyl talking about killing kids when they grow up. And, it's just, it's just become this really serious conflict. And he says, I just need you to take care of him. And Keefe D's like, that's no problem. That's what we do. And so an agreement was made, according to Keefe D, for an amount of money. And they kind of just let it go at that point in time. But of course, Keefe D knows in the back of his mind, this is what Puffy wants done. And they all end up out in Las Vegas. Suge's out there.
Before you say that, there's a couple things I want to talk about for Vegas. So when you say that Keefe got offered an amount of money, according to him, was there a dollar amount?
Yeah, so there was a dollar amount. But I think that, the nuances of this conversation are that, like, man, I'll give you $1 million, whatever it takes. It's like exaggerated speech. But of course, when we interview Keefe D, he's like, yeah, that's what the agreement amount was, $1 million.
So according to Keefe, he's claiming that Puffy offered him $1 million to Suge or Tupac?
Both
or
of them.
Both.
Yeah, both their names came up. And according to Keefe D, he says, Tupac's put himself on the list by all the shit talking that he is doing.
The tapes don't end there. Keefe D also spoke about a gun hidden inside a vehicle linked to Eric Von Zip Martin, a man described as a powerful figure with close connections to Diddy. Tupac's brother has even stated that both Von Zip and Diddy should have been thoroughly investigated, especially if Von Zip was the person who supplied Keefe D with the weapon.
Yeah, I can see how Pac felt like they had something to do with the setup, man. But speaking of Puffy, right, how do you feel about the rumor that Puffy, he gave a guy named Eric Von Zip a check for $1 million to give to Keefe D to kill Tupac?
I'm familiar with the story. I'm familiar with the dude. My man Big Psych, rest in peace, used to know that dude.
So you met Von Zip before. So how does that make you feel, man? Somebody that you met, and I'm sure that he knew that she was Tupac's brother. How does that make you feel knowing that he's the one that provided Keefe D with the gun to Tupac?
I mean, it's all up. It was it was a setup. It was a plot to my brother. I feel up about it. I don't know that nigga, but I ain't got no love for none of them. You know, straight up. It sounds like a typical plot. See, but considering who that guy is to Puffy and to Keefe D, for it not to be addressed is weird. We will see.
Burroughs' journals suddenly become crucial. Just days before Tupac was murdered, Burroughs documented that Diddy asked him to rent cars to drive from New York to Las Vegas for the fight. The request raised red flags. Flying would have been faster and easier. Yet Burroughs followed orders and carefully recorded everything. Dates, prices, routes. Those handwritten entries are now featured in the documentary, and it appears the FBI may be relying on those same notes as part of their investigation into Diddy.
Security, Gene Deal, who was there to secure Puff, all the other warnings that we got that we needed more security, the snafu in the business world came in like this. You have a budget for everything that you do. The budget for Big in LA for the awards show ended that Friday night, Saturday morning, when a new budget started to get him from LA to London, where he would be taken care of with security, his friends, and everyone that he wanted to be with him in the style that he was accustomed to handle the press junket. When that didn't happen, that budget was never opened. The budget for LA ended, and there was a great need for security that Saturday night, and he was out without that security. The beef up. And we lost him. And in that decision, what it put us in, that decision put us in the worst situation that we could have ever been in. We lost our number one talent. We're on a West Coast where we're surrounded by enemies who told us not to be here. We really shouldn't have been there, but we were. Now we have to get out of there.
Just after midnight, Biggie left the party. While stopped at a red light, a vehicle pulled up beside him. Gunfire erupted. Biggie was struck multiple times and later pronounced dead. He was only 24 years old. After Biggie's death, unsettling developments began to surface. Reports claimed he had been planning to leave Bad Boy Records. Legal disputes over his publishing soon followed. Instead of the spotlight remaining on Biggie's legacy, Diddy appeared on the covers of major magazines. Just 2 months later, Diddy released I'll Be Missing You. The song became a worldwide hit. His debut album followed and went multi-platinum. Years later, Diddy even acknowledged that Biggie's death increased his own fame. That admission alone raised serious questions. And the pattern didn't end there. Over the years, multiple people closely connected to Diddy have reportedly fallen ill, been silenced, or died under mysterious circumstances. Allegations surfaced. Lawsuits were filed. Stories emerged, then vanished. Now, longtime Bad Boy insider and former head of security Gene Deal says the upcoming Keefe D trial could change everything, especially because of the defense strategy being used. According to Gene, Keefe D's defense is simple. He's claiming that the reason Tupac was targeted traces directly back to Puff.
There's no physical evidence that Keefe D or has something to do with Pac's death. There's circumstantial evidence. There's people that could probably testify on what somebody told them or heard. So now, Keefe D, lawyers and them did a great job when they did trial by judge. Because the judge is looking for physical evidence. What ties Keefe D to Puff? What ties Keefe D to the Tupac? And how could they prove that either one of them has something to do with it? somebody would have to get on the stand and say that I saw him, he told me, and they want to have to believe them. So, do they believe Keefe D? If he told a lot of different stories, you got to realize he may have told more than one or two stories, because he tell that story now. What about the stories he told prior to this? You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to look at that. You're going to look at, okay, did he get the money? Where's the money at? Who got the money? Who wrote the check? Who paid the money? Where did it come from? When did it come from?
Gene points out that there's no physical evidence placing Keefe D at the scene as the shooter. What exists instead are statements, second-hand accounts, and claims about conversations that allegedly happened. That's why Keefe's attorneys pushed for a bench trial instead of a jury trial. A judge focuses on hard evidence, not emotional testimony. So the real questions become unavoidable. What directly ties Keefe D to Tupac's murder? For one, Keefe D has admitted involvement in Tupac's killing.
Keefe D's claim was an informant in 1997 who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting. This was exactly the same story that Keefe D told us a decade later. Very few people know that immediately after Tupac is shot and that white Cadillac is fleeing, one of the death row entourage, a guy named Alton McDonald, known as Buntree, chases after the Cadillac, and a second shooting takes place between the two vehicles. Alton McDonald's car is struck. In fact, within the Las Vegas murder files, there's a document that indicates that Alton McDonald's car had been struck by a bullet that night.
Yeah, and he even said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a murder for hire or something, you know what I'm saying?
The FBI said it was just Zip.
So the FBI told you the
he
same
was a
thing.
dirty motherfucker, yeah.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well.
They said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody crossed you. You the last one to know everything, even lawyers, your friends, everybody can cross your ass.
Gene says the only way this case truly comes together is if someone takes the stand and says, I heard that conversation. I witnessed that exchange. I know where the money came from, but even that is difficult. Keefe D has told multiple versions of a story over the years, and when details keep changing, every past statement gets scrutinized. Prosecutors then have to explain why one version should be believed over the others. Gene adds that if investigators can prove money flowed from Diddy through intermediaries and ultimately ended up connected to Keefe D, and if the people involved confirm it, then everything changes. Gene has long maintained that Diddy and Tupac were not on good terms, and recently, Tupac's cousin, Jamal Al-Hussein, has echoed that same claim.
So I run into Suge. Pac had to fight with Orlando Anderson. He come upstairs to the hotel room. First of all, when we get to Vegas, right, he flipped on me. He like, yo, move. Because I'm thinking when we get to Vegas, we're going to turn up. It's going to be all lit. But once we get there, he turned on me. Like, nah, Moo, I don't want you coming out. You and Kadada stay in the hotel and so forth. So I'm feeling the way. I'm like, oh, shit, ain't this, like, how you going to bring us out here? Now we got to stay in our rooms. So I'm rebellious, right? So I'm being rebellious, right? So Shook Pop comes in the room. He's talking about how he just knocked out some dude. I don't know who the dude is. I didn't know later that this is Orlando Anderson, the head of the Crip and all this crap. You know what I mean? So when Pop come in the room talking about it, I'm like, oh, word, say word, Pop. So he changed. That's when he changed from the orange button-up shirt that he had on, and he put on the green, like, basketball jersey type of shirt, right? So at this point, he's looking for the outlaws. He don't know where they at. And he's telling me and Kadada to chill in the room. That, everybody, they outside, they wilding. It's Robert Wayne time. And again, showing his protection for us, he recommend that we stay in the room. But I came out the room anyway and ran into Suge. And when I ran into Suge in the elevator, he in there with his girl, right? So I'm like, yo, Suge, I know you heard how Pop knocked out homie. And before I could say homie, Suge gave me the silent, he put the finger on his lips to silent me. So that already gave me like, oh, let me tone it down a notch.
Looking back, she now believes Tupac may have been trying to protect her, warning her without words that danger was near. She also remembers how Tupac behaved that night, full of adrenaline, loud, intense, yet still protective. He told both her and Kidada Jones to stay in the room. Kidada, who was his fiancée at the time, remained calm and steady, supporting him without adding to the chaos. Jamala also confirmed something many people doubted for years. Tupac truly planned to marry Kidada. He had visions of buying homes, starting a family, building businesses, and creating a future beyond Death Row Records. Tupac wanted out.
This could be a week or two prior to us going to Vegas, right? So we in the kitchen and Pac is on the phone. I'm in the kitchen, Pac is in the kitchen, and the Outlaws, everybody's scattered throughout the house, but Pac is on the phone, and this is what I seen with my own eyes. And Pac is going bananas, yo. He's wilding out. He's cussing out Death Row. Whoever, he didn't say, he just on the phone with somebody from Death Row camp. And he's going bananas. And all I hear him saying and screaming out is his masters, his masters. Yo, my brother head was sweating. He had veins popping out his neck, his head. He was at 10. And at that moment, I was scared. You know why? Because I thought that death was coming to the house to knock us all out. You know what I mean? Because again, we're in California. We're around amongst people that we're not quite understanding their culture, their gang lifestyle and stuff. You know what I mean? Again, we're New Yorkers. I certainly don't understand it. So I was a little afraid, I must admit, and I thought that death was coming to the house to knock us all out, straight up.
And so when you see Tupac on the phone, had you ever seen him like that before?
No, not like that. Nope. Not like where his veins is popping out his neck and out his bald head. No. Not that angry. And that's what scared me because of the anger, the rage that he was pouring out. You know what I mean? And it was like I was just standing there stiff. I didn't even want to walk past him while he's on the phone. It's like, let me just stand here until he get off the phone, because he was, like I said, he was at 10 and he was pissed off.
Was it because he planned on leaving Death Row and starting a rival label to Bad Boy? It's certainly a theory, and one that his own cousin appears to believe. These aren't accusations coming from people chasing fame or money. These are accounts from individuals who were close to the situation. And some of the most damaging claims against Diddy come from one of his former artists, Freddie P. He believes Diddy was responsible.
You believe that Diddy has something to do with Tupac?
Anybody with common sense, no. Anybody with common sense, no. It's kind of like the John Gotti situations, right? So Gotti kept for so long, we knew who Gotti truly was. The Paul Castellano situation, that's his name, right? You know who took out the boss. Carmichael, I think that's his name, whatever. You know, but you can't prove it. We know of Puffy indiscretions. We knew he killed Tupac. It was only, it didn't make sense for nobody else to kill Tupac. And for so many years, so many people tried to spin the narrative and was saying it was Suge, but if you was in the streets, you knew it wasn't Suge. Because you in the streets, you gonna know somebody that knows somebody from that side who's reputable, whose word that you can trust and honor. They gonna spread the word. So we knew that it wasn't Suge because of what we heard Suge went through after. If you know, you know. Like, if you don't, you don't. So Suge basically was affected by the Tupac shit real bad. You get what I'm saying? He loved him like a brother. And I don't really think Suge probably loved nobody else like he loved Tupac. And I'm going to keep it real. That's the way it was brought back to me. From street niggas inside a car in L.A. So, so many things that transpired since the Tupac situation, so many people's lives been affected, and Puffy just went on about his business.
Freddie then points to lyrics and old audio clips that many people overlooked for years. He says, sometimes the truth is hidden in plain sight. You just have to listen. And according to long-standing accusations, money was part of the equation.
Sometimes you get away with stuff, and you, like when you hear the song on the I put $1 billion on your head. Real kid, like, if you know, like, and don't nobody want to kill nobody, and really don't let nobody know. Like, you want to tell somebody, your son, your brother, somebody, even if you got to keep it G, and the streets can never find out. You want somebody to know. And when you hear the ad-lib, you see it turned down, you had to turn it up and single it out, and you heard it. I put $1 million on your fucking head. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all, which was the accusations that is the money that he paid Zip, right? If I'm not wrong, the money that he paid Von Zip was the money that Keith. Only reason Puffy is not locked up is because Von Zip stole the money, which at the time seemed like a creepy thing, but came back to save Puffy's fucking life, because the motherfucker he was willing to pay turned out to be a rat years later, and that would have bit Puffy all in the ass. But see, let me tell you something I do know, and it's from me to any street nigga. Them souls do not rest. And that's what I want to tell Puffy, Boosies, all the people we know. They don't rest, bro. You see, shit just won't get righter. We just got so, that day you just waiting on that knock on the door, because them souls don't rest, bro. And we was misled. A lot of us was misled to hurt each other and be kingpins and guns and gangsters.
Now, it looks like Keith D's trial this August will have more eyes on it than ever, and we'll be bringing you all the latest updates. Will you be following the trial? Let us know in the comments.